So yeah, this smartwatch is $69. But before you type it, is it though? Is it really that nice? Is it that good? I feel like we should define good first, because going into this, I was thinking just the fact that you can get a fully functioning smartwatch for $69 in 2023, just that by itself on its face was kind of amazing, because we live in a world where you can easily spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a smartwatch. But clearly there's a wide spectrum of what these things can be capable of. So this one, just the simple stuff, right? Just the basics, the time, notifications, step counter, heart rate, calorie counter, sleep tracking, just on its face, that's good enough for 95% of people, right? Well, let's just start with the basics here. This is a square smartwatch. It's got this orange silicone band that comes in the box, and it feels surprisingly similar to any other smartwatch band. And then it's got a 1.96 inch diagonal display. The color is metallic gray, but the material here is definitely not nearly as metallic. It does say aluminum alloy on their site, but if you didn't tell me that, just holding it, I would swear this is 100% made of plastic on the outside. But, you know, at least it's coated in a sort of a matte finish on the back part that's touching your wrist, around the heart rate sensors, and then there's some engravings with a bunch of text in the nothing font, like the model number and the headquarters location, which happens to be Cheapside, London, which is very appropriate. Honestly, it doesn't look or feel terrible, but it clearly has all of the obvious shortcuts of a cheap product the more you look closely at it, you know? The bezels are thick and also weirdly uneven all the way around. There is no rotating dial, just a single, shallow, cheap-feeling button right above the small, tinny speaker to the side, and no fancy puck to charge, just USB-A to dual-pin cable that comes in the box. It magnetizes to the back, which in hindsight, I guess is just as convenient as a fancy puck, but you know, a little less elegant looking. But I guess the key here is all of it works and it's solid. Like the brightness outside, it gets up to 600 nits. There's no auto brightness though, so you gotta change brightness manually like this. But hey, at its max, it's very good indoors at least. And the whole thing is IP68 water and dust resistant, which is first of all, great if you want to go out and sweat in it or go out in the rain, but also, wasn't there a long period of time where OnePlus and Nothing products didn't get IP certified because it cost too much extra? But now the CMF watch has it. But then it all works with the CMF watch app on your phone, which is where all the data gets sent via Bluetooth. So honestly, there's not too many different clever ways to design a watch UI. So, you know, if you get a smartwatch, if you've used one before, you'll basically already know how to use this one. So your watch face is your starting point, and then you can swipe through fitness data, which looks surprisingly like Apple Watch rings. It's got your heart rate history for the past 24 hours. The weather is there in that simple dot matrix way, plus sleep time if you use it to track sleep. Then a single press on that plastic feeling button will take you to your app list, which you can view as a grid or as a list. And then there's a good amount of apps in here that just come on the watch. So an exercise app that has a ton of different exercises, the blood oxygen app, which gives you your measurements whenever you want. You've also got a phone call app, and yes, you can receive phone calls on the watch, and that tinny little speaker will crank out audio as loud as it can to facilitate a real conversation. There's also a music app, which gives you just music controls for whenever something is playing on your phone. There's even a camera remote app, which it doesn't actually open the camera app on my phone or show a viewfinder preview, but when I do have the camera app open, the shutter button does actually work. So there's that. There's even a voice assistant app, which if you open it, basically just opens Google Assistant on your phone and then uses the mics and speakers on the watch for you to interact with it. The Find My Phone app is hilarious though. It only works when the CMF app is open or running on the phone. So if you've just closed the app, it will just ask you to open the app on your phone, but you don't have your phone. But when you do actually open it, so it plays this max volume ringing sound, which will allow you to find the phone, which is pretty cool, as long as you've got that app open or have opened it recently. And I will say the UI on the watch itself, it feels like it's moving around pretty quickly and not too much waiting time to actually open or switch between these apps, mostly because they're very lightweight. Like this thing is basically just a Bluetooth accessory pinging little controls on your phone. And then it's got watch faces and the watch faces have a nice little variety. I think this one's probably my favorite with the orange theme and a second hand moving slowly in a full circle down here. I feel like I'm pretty impressed. It's also very lightweight. Not that people always value lightweight in watches, but in this price range, they're pretty much all gonna be made of plastic, so you might as well lean into it, and this thing is super light, so if you're doing sports or just running around, it's kind of out of the way. And then because it's a Bluetooth accessory, and a pretty generic one, you can use this actually with basically any Android phone. So you just grab the Play Store app, which has a 3.1 stars. And it does have some connection issues occasionally for me, but even that sort of availability, at least, on any Android phone is better than Apple can say about their own smartwatch. And it gives me all the basic info I'm looking for, from heart rate history to workout summaries. Honestly, it's not so bad when it's working. So I'm also able to do sleep tracking, since that only really requires the heart rate sensors, but I also continue to get that info from the sensors that are actually built into the mattress cover I use. At this point, I'm sure you've heard of 8 Sleep and the pod mattress cover that, warms up and cools down each side of the bed independently, automatically. So that thing not only helps you sleep better by automatically changing the temperatures, but then it also monitors how you sleep. It's got the sensors inside and then it delivers a report for you. So you just open the app every morning, you get this personalized report that shows you things like your heart rate variance, respiratory rate, how your sleep stages panned out overnight. So I think I'm officially done wearing any wearables to sleep for any sleep tracking data, just because this handles it all. Now, I've actually talked about them before, and I saw a lot of your comments about 8 Sleep, and so I chatted with 8 Sleep about them and was able to get them to offer a little bit more functionality to people who are new, like first time signing up. So they'll actually now, no matter what your membership level, they will give you a free sleep report every 6 months. So it's not behind any sort of paywall. So thanks to 8 Sleep for sponsoring this video. I'm happy to report that they're also offering you guys the largest discount that they ever have. So if you want to check it out, feel free to check out the link in the description and use code MKBHD. So now that I'm not wearing it to sleep, I am able to charge the CMF watch every night. Like I said, it's got this little magnetic pin charger. Technically not as pretty as those fancy wireless charging pucks, but honestly pretty close. And the battery life, I've realized, is really, really good because of how simple it is. Again, just a Bluetooth accessory, not a whole ton of processing power needed. On their site, they're claiming like 13 days of regular use. I don't know if I'm gonna get that, but I was able to get 3 straight days easy, no problem. And I'm sure you could probably use power saver mode and get even more if you wanted to. So it's got better battery life than an Apple Watch. But really, the main thing that I learned when testing this watch is it turns out this is actually a pretty expensive watch in its segment. $69 is on the premium end for a very basic smartwatch. It's actually pretty common for the cheapest, most basic smartwatches to be in the $20 to $50 range. And at that point, they're all more or less the same product. They're all a simple plasticky Bluetooth accessory with some slightly different designs. So this, the CMF Watch Pro, is a slightly better packaged, slightly better designed, slightly better looking version for a slight upcharge. Kind of the same way Nothing is probably charging a little bit more than you would expect for a phone with the same specs, just because of the design and the nice stuff they do with it. That's what this is too. And I bring up Nothing because CMF is Nothing's ultra budget sub brand. And they actually do some other stuff like earphones, chargers, same deal, extremely cheap products, but just marked up a little bit for nice packaging and nice design. So here, I'll leave you with this. CMF in the industries typically stands for color, material, finish. It's the name of the company, but it's also what those letters stand for. And the CMF of this smartwatch it's very much still silverish, fingerprinty, technically metal, but feels kind of plasticky. But if you squint enough, this square kind of looks like an Apple Watch Ultra. And if that's your comparison point, then this thing is a total bargain. So I think that was what their real goal was. Yeah, if you want to get one of these things, you can. It is maybe a little more challenging to get it in the US. Maybe if you import it, spend a couple extra dollars, then you're competing with some other smartwatches, but it's an option. But now you know it exists. The more you know. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.